The story begins in the past. Gaius fights against a dragon, and laments over the inadequacy of his first crest and goes over the powers of the other 3 crests. It's then that Gaius casts a spell to reincarnate himself. Within the present day, Gaius is now a young adolescent boy going by the name of Matthias and has the crest that he always wanted, the 4th crest, as he rides on a wagon heading toward the capital. His goal is to take the examination in order to enter the academy there. En route to their destination, Matthias senses the presence of a calamity-ranked monster nearby. The wagon driver brushes Matthias's claim off, but when a big tiger-like beast confronts them, Matthias immediately deals with it, leaving the driver astonished. Arriving at the capital, Matthias enters a weapons shop where Alma begs the store owner Bice to repair her friend's broken magical sword. However, Bice refuses to repair it as it's impossible for him to do. Impressed by the swords sold in the store, Matthias overhears the conversation between the two, and when Alma requests a new sword, he offers to enchant it for her. Despite having an inadequate crest to do it, Alma insists that he do it with the magistone that she has on her person. Bice tries to admonish Alma from allowing Matthias to enchant the sword, but Alma has faith in him. The two then sit at a table and introduce each other, and Matthias asks to be called Maddie instead of Matthias. Amid their conversation, Alma's friend Lurie arrives and Alma introduces Maddie to her. Once Bice is finished with Lurie's sword, Maddie immediately enchants it, which surprises everyone with how fast he managed to do it. Right as Lurie was about to try it out, she accidentally slices the table they were sitting at in half, astonishing everyone. Claiming that he gave it a simple enchantment, Bice notes how Maddie accomplished this task not only quickly, but chantless as well. He then asks if Maddie would like to become an enchanter, but he flatly refuses. On the day of the exam, Maddie meets with Lurie and Alma again. Lurie manages to pass the fighting portion of the exam, and when it's Maddie's turn he faces off against Guile. He mentions Maddie's father's name, noting he wishes to see how well his father taught him swordcraft. The two fight and Maddie easily wins because of the magical enhancements that he made to his sword during the fight. The next portion of the exam is a target practice, where participants need to cast fire arrows aimed at the 5 targets. Lurie goes first, and with her first crest, she manages to hit all of the targets, and Maddie cogitates on how counterproductive the modern interpretation of crests is. For his part of the exam, Maddie casts a fireball spell due to the limited range that the 4th crest has. The end result leaves a giant crater left in the center of the exam site. Afterward, now fitted with an academy outfit, Maddie runs into Alma and Lurie, with whom together they attend the opening ceremony. Headmaster Edward gives a brief speech, and after it requests that Maddie head to his office once the ceremony is over. Anxious that he's going to be expelled for the incident where he destroyed the exam grounds earlier, despite repairing the grounds with his magic. In Edward's office, Edward recounts Maddie's accomplishments during the exam, but doesn't reprimand him nor pry any information on how he was able to accomplish such feats. Instead, Edward requests his aid in regards to the chantless spellcasting. Because the Academy follows its Academy curriculum, which denounces the use of chantless spellcasting. This leads to why Edward wants Maddie's help. He wants him to become a teacher of chantless spellcasting in preparation for the upcoming inter-school competition. Sometime later, Maddie demonstrates his chantless spellcasting in front of the Academy students, and another teacher named Geisel also helps demonstrate. By dusk, Alma demonstrates to Maddie her newly learned chantless spellcasting skills, and due to Lurie running low on magic, Maddie transfers some of his to her. This allows Lurie to successfully cast a chantless spell to destroy a target. On the day of the inter-school competition, Maddie senses a demon somewhere within the arena grounds. As it so happens, Maddie faces off against the demon named Devilis, who was disguised as a human with a first crest along with his cohorts. Maddie instantly finishes off the cohorts with a single spell and provokes Devilis to cast nearly a spell without chanting. Again, Maddie provokes the demon by making him use chantless spells and deducing that the demons want to make human spells weaker. Using a spellbreaker, Maddie dispels Devilis's human disguise, and the newly exposed demon tries to escape only to be beaten by Maddie before he's able to do. While the students and some of the faculty surround the dead body of Devilis, Maddie is hugged by Lurie for beating the demon in disguise. Later at the royal castle, Maddie and Edward are allowed an audience with the king, who wanted to grant Maddie a fief, but that would cause a panic within the kingdom. That was mainly due to the recent news of demons infiltrating their ranks as normal citizens. Instead, the king grants Maddie's request for all rights to the possessions gained within the dungeon. Once that's settled with, the king asks for Maddie's opinion on the disappearance of the 4 magical chosen ones. It's the king's opinion that since the appearance of magical chosen ones several hundred years ago, demons have slowly managed to infiltrate human society. From Maddie's internal monologue, during Maddie's past life, he drove the demons to the brink of extinction. It's speculated that the remaining demons infiltrated human society and spread magical misinformation, causing humans' magical power to wane over time. Although the king believes that the situation involving the demons has been resolved, Maddie clarifies that the situation is direr than ever. In Maddie's opinion, if the demons believe that it's no longer necessary to masquerade themselves as humans, their next move would be mustering their forces for an all-out attack that would destroy the kingdom. Maddie surmises it'd take 3 months for the demons to gather enough forces to accomplish this task. With the situation looking bleak, Maddie assures the king that what's needed is a barrier that would cover the entire kingdom to protect it. All that Maddie needs to cast the barrier is a divine class artifact and the help from all second-year students to project a permanent barrier around the kingdom. Preparations for this task can be completed within a month's time and suggests that the students continue learning chant less magic. Taking what Maddie said into consideration, the king appoints him the leader of the fight against the demons. Inside the castle treasure room, Maddie finds a couple of old artifacts that he created in his previous life. Those artifacts are a magical sword and a pendant, which is a magical accessory that greatly increases the express gained from battle. Later outside, Maddie oversees the students of the academy practice chant less magic. Both Lurie and Alma then approach Maddie about what they heard from Edward concerning the barrier. Maddie confirms it and claims that he'll be exploring a dungeon to collect the necessary items for him to accomplish it. The news surprises the two and Maddie has an epiphany to have the two of them join him as a party to explore the dungeon with him. At first, the two were reluctant to join him due to their self-confessed inadequate fighting capabilities, but after giving them some tips on archery and enchantment magic, they agree to the offer. Eventually, the group makes it to the dungeon, and their Maddie fetches a tiny monster and they use it as target practice to allow Lurie to get the hang of her newly learned enchanted archery. The practice continues for a bit, and after Lurie learns the basics of the thread-guided chant, she's tasked by Maddie to kill 2 monsters with a single arrow. Alone with Alma, Maddie teaches her how to filter and compound the dungeon material or its ore into metal. By doing this, they gain mithril and iron clusters, and Maddie promises to teach her how to make the newly acquired ore into enchanted weapons. Elsewhere, Lurie manages to kill 3 monsters with her thread-guided chant skill while only using a single arrow. Regrouping with Maddie and Alma, Lurie witnesses Alma trying out some weapons that she created, and Lurie then makes some plated armor for her and Alma. Maddie then announces that they'll be hitting the 10th floor of the dungeon and will serve as a test for the skills that they've learned to that point. During their way to the 10th floor, both Lurie and Alma excel in their combative capabilities and gain enhanced express due to the pendant Maddie wore. Soon the group faces off against a killer dog, and it's thanks to the cooperative teamwork between Lurie and Alma they manage to kill it. Once the killer wolf was dealt with, Maddie sets up camp and temporarily leaves the party to explore deeper parts of the dungeon. Down in one of the lower floors, Maddie finds adamantite and gets interested by the presence of a boss monster on the floor below where he was currently. Following his interests, Maddie goes down a floor and faces off against the boss monster, which is a arc serpent. The battle against it is tough, but Maddie in the end wins against it. 2 demons feel the massive burst of magic, but think nothing of it as it's figured that humans are incapable of wielding such potent magic in that day and age. Upon returning to the 2 ladies, Maddie shows them the corpse of the boss monster he defeated, which shocks them immensely.